Yo, what is good YouTube? I am Richie Kim, and today I'm going to be bringing you all the performance review on the New Balance Kawhi 2. Before we get started, if you all enjoy sneaker content just like this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button down below, and also hit that bell notification button so you never miss another video just like this. But anyways, let's get right into it. As always, starting off with the traction, the Kawhi 2 features a almost like, I don't know, kind of like tire tread traction pattern. I'm really not sure how to explain this, but it's just basically these lines that kind of change direction, and it goes throughout like the whole outsole. And the traction on here is, for the most part, I would say pretty good. At first, you may slide a little bit, depending on like your core conditions, but as you break in the traction over time, I would say it does get a little bit better. So yeah, if you are playing on your clean courts, you are going to be able to stop on a dime. The traction is going to be really nice on clean courts. If you are playing on your mildly dusty to really dusty courts, you will have to wipe because the traction does pick up dust, but I would say it is a fairly easy wipe, and you should have a couple good stops. But if you do let the dust collect, you might slide to a stop. I know I did. There were times where even if I, wiped, I would still slide to a stop on those dustier courts. However, it wasn't a big slide. It was just a very small slide to a stop. But that is just something to keep in mind about the traction. If you are playing on, your typical gym courts, you will have to wipe and you might experience a mild slide. However, if you are playing on those cleaner courts, you will have a great bite. So yeah, overall, the traction I would say is pretty good. You just have to watch out if there's dust present on your courts. And also another thing to mention about the rubber on the shoe is the rubber is actually really hard. So if you did want to use these outdoors, I would say that these should be pretty durable. However, personally, I wouldn't, just because of the price point of the shoe. But yeah, overall traction was pretty good, but it could have been better. So moving on to the cushion, the Kawhi 2 features a full-length fuel cell midsole, and it is partially caged in certain areas like around the heel and on the lateral portion up here in the forefoot. And then on the medial side, you'll see that it's cushioned right here, right in the middle, kind of where this rubber, comes up onto the upper portion of the shoe. But yeah, so like I said, fuel cell, this definitely feels better than what was featured in the Kawhi 1. Not as nice as what was featured in the Omnis. The Omnis had really great cushion setup. Like the fuel cell in there felt really good. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't feel bad in here. In the heel, you do get some compression. You can feel like the spring back basically if you are doing hard landings, or if you're really just trying to feel the cushion in the heel. Whereas in the forefoot, it is definitely more stiff. It is more firm. I would definitely say it's a more responsive feeling foam in the forefoot compared to the heel. You will get maybe just a little bit of impact protection, but they did cage it up a good amount up in the forefoot, so it just doesn't feel as nice as the heel, which was honestly kind of expected because of the caging of the midsole in the shoe. But yeah, the heel definitely feels a lot better. More impact protection in the heel than in the forefoot, more responsiveness in the forefoot than in the heel. So I would say overall it's a good balance. But if you're looking for a lot of impact protection throughout the whole shoe, this isn't it. This is definitely a little bit more firm in the forefoot compared to the Omnis. But as a whole, definitely feels better than the Kawhi 1. So moving on to the materials, the Kawhi 2 features what is called Fit Weave Light, and they actually have that name like in this material right here as well, so you can see this is Fit Weave Light. And the materials are, I would say it's pretty nice. It's basically a textile. It feels really good on foot, and it feels not too bad to the touch. Definitely could have felt a lot better, but hey, it gets the job done in terms of that performance, so I'm not really gonna complain. On top of the fit weave, you do have like some fuse areas and more fuse areas like this beige area around the toe box, just for added durability and also probably added structure as well. You do have like more fuse material that goes around where the eyelets are on the shoe, just for reinforcement so you don't rip through your eyelets, and that's going to be a problem if you do that. And then around the back, you have like this fuse overlay on the back half of the shoe as well. And like I said, it does get the job done in terms of the performance just fine. Moving towards the tongue, you do have a pretty thickly padded tongue, at least like in the middle portion of the tongue. Towards the top, it is very thin. So I would say that the padding is adequate where it needs to be. So if you do like to crank down your laces, you should be good to go. Overall material usage, it definitely could have been a lot more premium, but it does get the job done fine in terms of that performance. So moving on to the fit, I would say that the Kawhi 2 does run true to size. As a slightly wide footer, I went true to size, and for the most part, I was good. However, this toe box area and just the forefoot area in general is pretty damn narrow. So be careful. When I first played in the shoes, it was super narrow. You could feel a lot of pressure around your pinky toe area. But as you do play in it, the shoe will break in a little bit. But this area is like kind of covered in that plastic, like I mentioned earlier, along with this like lateral rubber cage, so it can't break in all too much. And if your pinky toe area or the side of your foot is already squeezing against this, it's really not going to break in further than that. So if you all have really wide feet, I would recommend you all go up a half size, and you can probably avoid this issue. Like I said, as a slightly wide footer, I was okay going true to size, but it does require a little bit of break-in time, so it doesn't feel too painful up in the forefoot area. For narrow footers and standard footers, going true to size is definitely your best bet. Like I mentioned earlier, this toe box is very snug. The materials lie very nicely over my feet. Everything else was fine. It was a super snug fitting shoe. Even though there isn't a lot of padding in the heel, I didn't have any issues back here as well. So yeah, overall, I would say that the fit is good. Just be careful if you do have wider feet. So moving on to the support, I had absolutely zero issues with the support in this shoe. You do have an internal heel counter. You do actually have this external piece right here that, basically acts as a cage for the foam, but does actually come up onto the heel just a little bit. You have great heel sculpting. I didn't have any heel slippage in this shoe. I didn't have any side-to-side movement on the footbed as well. Like I did mention earlier, this rubber piece does come up, acts as a cage, as well as the actual foam. It does wrap up onto the upper of the shoe, which also acts as a lateral cage for your foot. Same goes for the medial side of the shoe as well. So yeah, no side-to-side movement on the footbed. In terms of those lateral movements, you don't actually have an outrigger, but I would say this is a fairly wide base, so you are covered there as well. And then in terms of the torsional rigidity and stability, you do have this midfoot shank plate, which you can see runs all the way up into the forefoot of the shoe. And yeah, this thing is pretty damn rigid and stiff, so you're covered there as well. I had absolutely zero issues with the support in the Kawhi 2. So the Kawhi 2 retails for $160, and for $160, I would say it is a pretty solid performer. As long as you're not expecting the fuel cell cushion to feel like the Omnis, then you will probably like this. I would say that this fuel cell setup is somewhere in between the Omnis and the Kawhi 1. Definitely more towards the Omnis, if anything, because the Kawhi 1 was just super stiff feeling all around in terms of the materials, and I mean pretty much every aspect of the shoe. So yeah, the Kawhi 2 is definitely an upgrade on the Kawhi 1. And then another thing is that traction. Like I mentioned earlier, if you are playing on your mildly dusty to really dusty courts, you got to break in this traction a little bit, and you will have to wipe in order to maintain that good stopping power. However, if you do that, you should be okay, but you might slide to a stop here and there, so just watch out for that. Overall, I would say it's a solid shoe, $160. New Balance has put out pretty good shoes for the most part, and the Kawhi 2 is up there, in their whole basketball line. I definitely think the Omnis is a better performer than this, so just keep that in mind if you do all want to pick up a pair. Also, in the $160 price range, I'm always going to bring this up anytime a shoe is around $150, and that's because the KD14 is $150, and that is an absolute beast of a shoe in terms of like every single aspect, but by no means does that make this a bad performer. If you all are interested in picking up a pair of these, I'll leave a link for you down in the description box below. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this performance review. If you all like this video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button down below, and also hit that bell notification button so you never miss another video just like this. Also hit that thumbs up button for me, as it really does help me out. While you're at it, check out these videos over here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.